Hey, dude here. Welcome, Ramblings of a Chess Coach. Great week this week. Kids of the Detroit City Chess Club, University Preparatory Science and Math, got third place in the National Junior High School. Made some flowers in celebration. So, pretty good. These national high schools, we weren't able to place in the open section. But the children are good enough here that they got third place in the country in the K-8 open section in Texas. So top players in the nation, they all know Detroit. They all know our kids. They know they're coming. They know they're going to have a hard time beating them. So very happy about that. Congratulations. Kids worked hard, paid off, they produced the results. So you got some flowers showing. I get one girl wearing the flowers. Encourage them to play chess. And, so I'll give a little ramble about thoughts on consciousness and chess coaching. And, been doing the week in review for a while now and just try to clear my mind. I did a stream this week, Forex chart, about real estate and equity trading, mostly currencies, which is interesting. He said he was more of a backgammon player than chess playing, but I was recruited into equity trading largely based upon my results as a chess player. And some of the thinking required is directly related to chess playing, where, being a good chess player is conducive to the thoughts necessary for equity trading, finance. So the girl's pretty happy about these flowers I made. And yes, I've been doing these weekend reviews a few weeks now with Church of Entropy, and thinking about the quantum mind, consciousness, how that's related to thought patterns, how people form thoughts, how people form ideas, and the pattern type thinking that people do, which is directly related to chess coaching, because obviously you play chess, there's certain pattern recognition that comes into how you make the best move, how you decide the best move to make. And it's similar with debate, social interaction, basically everything that we do. We have these higher level rules and thinking ability skills that are based on pattern recognition. And the science is unclear. Like, I've been talking about it, Halsey came on to Church of Entropy, and Avogadro's number, 10 to the 23rd, the numbers of neurons in the brain are trillions. The number of quantum particles are unfathomably too large to count, 10 to the 25th, maybe more. So even if you could contemplate how these interactions happen at the molecular level, to the higher level, how that would produce thought, might be beyond calculation. There's certain mathematical tools to give reasonable estimations. So as of now, that's likely going to remain unsolved, whether consciousness could arise from some sort of physical process, or whether it arise from a spiritual, and if it does arise from the spiritual, how the interaction with the brain, like brain is a receiver, is it quantum particles and quantum states? That's the mechanism of how the spiritual kind of communicates with the material. So it's interesting. We keep on thinking about it, keep on studying that, and but the basic concept, the dissonance is when there's a disconnect between the sense perception, reality of the immediate world that we're viewing, versus the rules and patterns that we believe to be correct in your head. And chess basically works the same way. You prepare, you study, you recognize patterns, and those patterns that are recognized, so to say, work or don't work on the board. So we got a little kid here who's pretty sharp and pretty good at recognizing patterns, and he could beat a lot of these adult players because his pattern recognition skills are just as good as better than theirs. And chess is relatively simple. So the human mind, the animal mind, the mammalian, reptilian brain, fight or flight, where you have like in martial arts, muscle memory, where if you're in the fight or flight and you enter fight, you might enter, if you've had physical training, you might enter muscle memory and just go off of the training and actions that have been trained into the memory from the muscle pattern memory for sports or any of these things. So chess is a good example for the patterns. Through the training, there's a certain pattern recognition of opening moves, combinations, attack patterns, endgame patterns that you could conceivably, because chess is simple enough as compared to life, chess is simple enough you could figure a decent amount on the spot over the board. Like a simple pattern, you could calculate how the mind produces thoughts, how many patterns the mind is capable of thinking of. And so an intelligent person, just with pure thought and moment, situation of the moment, in pure thought, what type of patterns could they recognize? How good would be their ability to produce a desired result and so to say win, and through having a better pattern recognition than the opponent, or spatial ability for the best way to move the pieces. And so you see that we've trained these kids, they've worked on it, they've studied the patterns, they've played each other, and they're some of the best in the nation at recognizing these patterns. So on the spot, the preparation is more important because you have the training, the patterns, plus the ability to think on your own, and saying that free will, from its being a Church of Entropy and these things, chances are free will exists in a situation of dissonance. Because if you're just purely going on training of pattern recognition, that isn't really free will. It's saying just, I've trained myself, I recognize the patterns, and I'm just going into a rote memory pattern of doing what I've trained. And then we have the dissonance of what you prepared doesn't match what you see, and you enter that fight or flight scenario, and you're in the flux. So if you enter fight or flight, chances are that's also some sort of memory rote pattern. So if you flee or you fight, either one, you're likely to fall into a pattern of training and these higher rules. So the dissonance, where you live with the dissonance and you embrace the dissonance, it would appear that that's where free will exists. And so our chess players, when they're competing and they're up against the best in the nation, and a lot of times the competition is very tough, they've been training just as hard or harder than you, and you enter that dissonance where my training didn't prepare me for the situation you're in, and you could embrace the dissonance and try to produce the best result on the spot. So it was interesting to keep on doing these weekend reviews and thinking about consciousness. I'm very proud of the kids here, and great result, and happy you made the flowers, and encourage the kids to play, and they're happy just to play with each other. And school year is almost finishing, and see the patterns, see the ability of the human mind, human potential to achieve great things through hard work, universal ability of all people, that really anyone could accomplish great things through hard work. We got our top board here, with females, our top board. She placed tied for like the 20s, so she placed in the top. The team placed third. We had two kids that tied for like in the top 20 something. So there's tougher competition, but as a team, even though we didn't have any players that were competing for like top of the nation, but we had kids that were enough. So this kid here got 5 out of 7. She got 5 out of 7. We had some other great results, and that was enough as a team effort to be third in the nation, competing with some of the really top schools across the nation. This year was in Texas, And yes, that's about it. Thought I'd give a little bit of a ramble, try to connect my thoughts on consciousness, this concept of dissonance and the training of the higher level rules and functioning versus the sense perception of the on the spot what we see. And it's similar to chess and debate, or conversation in general, just any type of social interaction, any cognitive function where it's a combination of training and effort that has been put in previously that makes these patterns. And different people have in their heads better patterns or worse patterns. Saying everyone who functions because they have an understanding of rules of operation, of what's successful or what's not successful. But in moments of extreme competition, it could be that what you thought was going to be successful wasn't successful. They're saying like, okay, what works on the farm may not work in the big city. What works in one big city may not work in the other. What wins for a small level competition may not win for a larger level competition, and so on and so on. So that the rules, higher level functioning, could always be improved. And chess is a great example of that. As it's basically infinite. Game is nearly infinite. The amount of positions and the patterns. I've talked in the past few weeks about the new machine learning techniques that have produced better results than previously, and where the machine learning algorithm didn't have any rules programmed in, but used the machine learning from scratch to try to make their own rules, as opposed to having what would have been thought to be the best rules previously programmed in. But after that, they were able to use some of those rules and actually beat that computer. And it's pretty complicated. I have the book on my dad got when he's got a magazine, Chess Base, or I forget the magazine, but they gave him a free copy of the book about the AlphaZero chess program that just did really well, explaining some of the games and the new way of looking at chess. So I guess I'm going to sign off, and hopefully things are looking up. I found some new streaming partners, Ash All Day, it's good conversation, the Forex Shark, Discord. I'm looking forward. I hadn't traded equities in a long time, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get back into equity trading, and we have a Discord and talk about things like that. And the pattern recognition from chess will be extremely useful to understand these thought patterns that lead to successful trading. And I'm happy, just like I said on the Forex Shark, God has been good to me. I've been blessed, and I would like to give back. I still like to advance and acquire more for myself. The majority of my desires have went unfilled, but God has been good to me, and I'm happy to give back and just bless God, thank God. Appreciate everything that I've been given in life. It's an honor of mine to be able to give back and to produce results that through some of my charity efforts, the kids would place third in the nation. So I think I had a few more thoughts. My old friend Jean-Louis Bourgeois, God forbid he's became quite sick. I hadn't spoken to him so much because we were playing phone tag so much, and like I'm here in Detroit and he's in Manhattan, and just calling him and he's busy, call back, and I enjoyed talking with him, but I fell out of touch and hadn't spoken to him more than a year, and I decided to give him a call, and then he called me. I gave him a call like a few months ago and couldn't even reach him, and then he called me out of the blue this week, and God forbid, he had been very sick. He'd been in the hospital. He's in a wheelchair, and I hope he has good health. So anyone watching this who knows Jean-Louis Bourgeois, here at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and obviously he's the son of the famous sculptress Louise Bourgeois, and pray for his health. That he has a full recovery, And I'd like to set up streaming for him. I've been streaming. I'd like him to be on my stream and just to talk to him and maybe share some of the conversations I've had with him, with anyone who's interested, but also to benefit him in his activities. If he wants to have private personal streams that aren't open to the public, for a person who's very busy, like part of the reason I'm using the streaming technology is repetitive conversations that, instead of having the repetitive conversations, what's going on, what are you thinking, you could just say it one time, put it onto the stream, and anyone who's interested could watch it, so it is really a powerful technology that I'd like to take advantage of. And I'm thinking hopefully Babylon Hebrew, Babs, is going to be able to meet him in person and set up the stream for him, so he'll be able to do that. And then maybe we'll be able to recruit some of his charity activities, create different streams for his activities and recruit. And that might be the precipice for what allows him to recruit teams of people to be able to fulfill a lot of the activities that he's been trying to do over the last few years, where he needs to recruit large amounts of people, but it's difficult for him to coordinate it. And so I'm praying that he has a recovery, and but if he is grounded for a while and, God forbid, wheelchair bound, he can't go anywhere, so, maybe, that'll lead him more likely to try to figure out how to stream and start doing that. So hopefully that's going to happen this week. And I'm praying that works out. I'm praying that, Babylon Hebrew will be able to meet him in person. They'll be able to get along, and he'll be able to assist him with that. So, that would be interesting. That would be pretty cool if I could, even here in Detroit and in Manhattan, I could reconnect and rekindle our friendship through getting him on streaming technology. So I guess that's about it. I'm over 600 subscribers now, not close to the 1,000. So, it's at least going to be a few months. Maybe if the Forex Shark, he's got a lot of subscribers. So if that goes well, that might help increase my subscriber count. I'm going to be doing my Ask the Rabbi on conversion to Judaism. It's extremely complicated. The history of what was conversion like in the ancient world? Was there such a thing as conversion? Was intermarriage an automatic form of conversion? To how did the current form of conversion process take form from over the ages, and all the disputes about the different methods to convert to Judaism today. So I've been preparing that stream. I have thousands of pages of reading material, like the Half Jews intermarriage stream. So I'd wanted to do that already, but there's just a lot more to it, so I want to do it as well as possible. And so I may not even get that done this week. So you'll see if there's any streaming this week. If Forex Shark is ready, we should do another stream this week on either real estate or chart reading patterns, or maybe even a few streams. And the chess coaching helps me to keep my thoughts together, and just praise God that God has been good to me, and I could give back through one of my best abilities. Chess is one of my best skills, so I give back through coaching chess. And I get the great venue here. I get to sit right here in the Detroit Institute of Arts and teach kids what I'm best at, and see that they're, thank God, producing results like this. So Shabbat Shalom, best wishes. Anyone watching this, please pray for Jean-Louis Bourgeois' speedy recovery, and that I'll be able to set him up with Babylon Hebrew to have him start streaming, and we'll see where that goes. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Shabbat Shalom.